UI is a critical part of game development that often ends up being neglected during the development process. A proper workflow and navigation between elements can either be a relatively unnoticed process or an infuriating experience for the player. Now, as much as I want to talk about that design philosophy, this is not that video. This video is going to be a quick and dirty implementation of the bare minimum. So just like any other day of my life, I have a problem. You see, I want to release a demo of my game soon, but before I do that, there are a couple of things I need to work on. Mainly, I want a small group of my friends to playtest my game, just to gather some feedback, catch any bugs, and overall find out if my game is even fun to play. Now, this wouldn't normally be a problem, however, if I click play here in the Unity editor, you might notice that there's something missing. The current version of Penumbra Tower is missing two specific screens, the settings menu and the main menu. Okay, let's talk about the options menu first. So because I don't imagine there being a lot of settings for this build of the game, I'm combining the settings menu and the pause screen into one. This way, users have instant access to everything in one place. So how does pausing work? Well, because of the nature of this game, pausing the gameplay is very simple to implement. Since the turns are very short, and because the player only has control during their turn, I just need to disable the player controller script while the pause menu is open. If the player cannot do anything, the game cannot progress. I want the options menu to be easily accessible, so at any point during the game, the player can simply press the escape key to access the options menu. I've broken down the settings into two sections for audio and video configuration. As I've said, this is bare bones, so there isn't much here. Anyways, everything here is pretty basic. I have some sliders here for the background music volume and sound effects volume, as well as an option to switch the game from full screen to windowed, just in case you like to move the window around while you play. So I've added some useful buttons here near the bottom. Listen. I also thought it would be nice to have a quick restart button, just in case you don't like how your run is going. And oh, what is this? A wishlist button? What's that doing here? Well, since we're talking about wishlists, if you're new here, I've been working on a grid movement roguelike called Penumbra Tower for the past 8 months, and I'm getting really close to a demo build of my game. If you're interested in that, consider heading over to the Steam page and adding it to your wishlist. Okay, before we talk about any other UI updates, we need to talk about money. And no, I'm not talking about monetizing the game. I'm talking about pickups again. In the previous devlogs, I added in bomb and health pickups. Now I'm adding in a coin pickup. On death, enemies will have a chance to drop coins. Now what can you use coins for, you ask? Nothing right now, but I've got some ideas kicking around for the future. Maybe some sort of shop, since I already have an NPC and dialogue system ready. So with the addition of coins, I was thinking it would be cool if you could track some of this information in the UI. So I've gone ahead and updated the floor transition screen to include some stats based on the floor that you've just cleared. So you can see the amount of coins, enemies killed, and the amount of time taken to complete the floor. So up until this point, testing has been a pain because every time the player died, the game object would get destroyed and I would need to restart the game inside of the Unity editor. So I've made a death screen that gets displayed when the player dies. This screen displays the total statistics for the entire run, including how long the run was and what floor you made it to. Other than that, in terms of new UI, I thought instead of throwing you into the tower when the game launches, there should probably be a menu screen. This is looking pretty boring right now, but it gets the job done. And because I'm doing this in preparation for the playtesting, I decided it was a good time to replace all of those placeholder sound effects that I added a couple devlogs ago, as well as add in a couple other missing sounds. I did end up keeping a few of the original sound effects, as I thought they still fit well with the game. Okay, it's time to get ready for the playtesting. It's not really reasonable to expect everyone to come over and playtest the game inside of my Unity window, so I need to create a build for the game. And this is where I started encountering problems. I was running into a lot of trouble during the build process. When I ran the game inside of Unity, I never really got any errors other than the odd null reference exception, but when I tried to create a build, it would have like 20 plus compiler errors. The errors would be something along the lines of, this random script is using a namespace that does not exist in this Unity editor, and then I would open the script up and there would be a using line at the top of the script that wasn't there before, but Unity had added it during the build process. And I really wish I had recorded part of that, but it was such a headache at the time that I didn't even think of it. Anyways, I did end up finding a solution for this, where you need to wrap those new lines of code in an if Unity editor statement, and that seemed to work, but I did need to do that across multiple scripts, so it was kind of annoying. And with that, I was successfully able to export a build of the game, so I'm pretty happy that that issue is out of the way. Anyways, I do have a couple more things to talk about. I added one more item to the game. The explosive powder item increases bomb damage by 40%. I mainly added this to the game to incentivize players to maybe create a bomb focused build, since I already added the bomb bag and bomb drop chance item. Other than that, I did some more rebalancing for the first 10-ish floors of the tower. I won't get too into the details of what I changed, as I think that might be a little bit too far behind the curtain, but I did make those floors easier in preparation for the playtesters, since I do think I was slightly balancing the game around myself, and since I know everything about the game, that wouldn't be fair to someone who is playing for the first time. And that's everything I did in preparation for the closed playtest. Sorry if this devlog is a little smaller than the previous ones, but that's it for me. Go wishlist Penumbra Tower on Steam, and I'll see you guys after the holidays.